live. Let's end the broadcast and let's bring everybody onto the show. Come on in, everybody. Welcome to Zoom. All right. Hello, everybody.
Hello, sir.
Hey there.
And now, we have
there's my little stinky dog. You'll hear him in a minute because he was quiet, but unusually.
No, he was actually fantastic. My goodness.
Yeah. He's not though. You'll hear him.
It's part of pandemic world though. Barking dogs are just part
so
of
true.
One of the
it?
good parts of pandemic world is barking dogs.
I know. You just sort of just have to deal with it. It is what it is, right?
So I've got by the way, here he is, Phil. Hang on 1 second before you show that, because then Phil is going to want to see it. But Phil has come up with the what does he call it, the call sign or my sign off, which is think responsibly.
I love that.
Which I just put on at the end now, which I absolutely love, and obviously from drink responsibly.
Yes, we caught on right away. It was instantaneous.
I know you got it, but just in case anyone didn't. But anyway, hello, Phil. Welcome.
Hey guys, what's up, comrades?
That was brilliant,
Hi,
Phil.
Phil.
That was think responsibly.
Hey, Lynn. Great show, guys.
Thanks.
So, are you using the tagline? Did I hear that?
Yeah.
Yes. So what I do now is I put it on in the show, and when everything finishes in the show, I just leave it on for 5 or 10 seconds. And when I remember, I say it as well. But I love it.
Now all we need is some version of Mothers Against Drunk Driving. We need some version for that.
Yeah.
Get to work on it, Phil.
Well,
we're going to definitely do some visual and sonic branding for this.
I know there's drunk streaming when I when I do Corona cocktails. But Tom, you were about to show Lynn your notes.
Oh yeah, Lynn, look at my notes from today. My notes features hair
God,
at the top, the very top. And when I get excited about something, I put yellow on it, and when I get really excited, I put red around it, so you can see how often I got excited today.
Wait, is that a little picture of me in the corner?
No, that's not you. No, that's me on a bad hair day where I.
That's awesome. I love it. Thank you.
See, there is hair back there, and it can stand straight up. So I need to get some of your product right away.
Yes, it's all good.
What a great story that was. That could be a short book that encompasses the new heart that we're hoping will come into the corporate world, right? With the Business Roundtable talking about stakeholders and communities and all kinds of other things, and yet not enough concrete stories about how a business enters into a human need. And with your story, it's like an octopus of needs, right? Because it's the needs of hair care, and it's the needs of the people in that little village in Japan. And it's like this multiple stakeholder thing that's real and that's from the heart, and that is a great example. So yeah, if you ever get the itch to write that story up, I think it could be very powerful for people.
Oh my gosh. I appreciate you saying that, but like I have less than no time on my hands.
Yeah, I know what that's like. Yeah.
But if somebody else wants to write it, if one of you can, take a stab at it.
Well, people in the conscious capitalism, some of the board members have been trying to get me to do a book on how business can save the world for a long time now. I'm a philosopher, and I've written a bunch of books, like If Aristotle Ran General Motors and stuff like that. But yeah, I might be talking to you to get that story.
All right.
To use as a great example, because I have other friends who've done remarkable things, but nothing has inspired me more than your story today, briefly told. And I'm sure there are more details that you could share as well. But yeah, we may have to stay in touch. Since I know the guy in the red shirt, it's possible.
Yeah. So Tom, Tom is a philosopher. I'm a marketer. He came on the show as a guest. He's learning how to be more like a marketer. So for example, he's allowed a 1 book mention maximum, and then I mute him. You see, so you get muted after this. That he's teaching me how to be more like a philosopher.
Okay, wait. I want to know though, what book would be your top recommendation then, Tom?
Oh, the new book, the one that came out in January and made me look like a genius. When life hands you lemons, make lemonade. Everybody says it. Nobody says how. Turns out the great philosophers had unbelievable advice about how to stir difficulty into not just resilience and grit and hang in there and bounce back, but to stir bad stuff into delightful stuff in amazing alchemistic ways. I mean, you know, we talked about magic a little bit earlier. I use the ancient image of alchemy. I believe there's a spiritual alchemy in life that if we don't use it in our business lives, we'll never attain what we're capable of. If we never use it in our personal lives, we'll never realize why we're here on this earth, you know? So it took me 15 years and I rewrote it 25 times, but it's become this huge book now. And it just came out in January. I just got this sense in the last fall, you better get the book out. You better get the book out, not knowing that we were going to have mountains of lemons like never before. And I've had such heartfelt emails from readers. I've never had so many 5-star reviews and heartfelt. Look at the man in the red shirt. He just keeps going back to
I'm literally. Is it on Amazon? I'm going on right now.
Yeah, it's on Amazon. It's anywhere, but yeah, Amazon's.
I love today. You got Steve Garfield who's downloading apps, who's buying product. You know, Lynn's buying books. You know, this is.
So, but let me add in another Tom's book, which I've absolutely loved, and especially since Lynn, you want to talk about mental health issues. Yeah. He wrote The Oasis Within, which really, really good. I shared it with my son who was having some. So I'm leaving. You have permission to put 2 books.
What's that one about?
Just look up, Lynn. Look up at the screen. Look up at the screen, Lynn.
Yes.
Look up at the screen.
Okay. The Oasis, but what's it about? Tell me.
The man in the red shirt. You want to say, Leslie? Or you want me to say?
You say it. I don't think I could say it as clearly as you.
Lynn, it came to me.
I'll back up a little bit.
I'm adding it to cart. I'm going to get it, but tell me what it's about.
There's a little story behind, since we're talking about stories. So first, Joe, you have to let us talk about 2 of Tom's books today, not 1.
All right. On one condition, that we average him out to 1 a day. So tomorrow you have to come back with 0.
Yeah. Otherwise, this whole show would be built to suck. Oh, I mentioned somebody else's book. Okay, go ahead.
No, but we were talking about advice. We were talking about advice, and Tom said something. I forgot what it was about advice, and I said, and you posted something on Facebook. I said, boy, I wish I could have shared this with my son, because when he was in probably the same age as your kids are now, when he was having a really tough time in high school and college in his early 20s. He would not take advice from me, and it caused a major breakup in our relationship. I mean, he didn't talk to me for 7 years.
Oh, wow.
6.5 years. And he just reached out to me in March, and now we have, our relationship is building up, and it's been wonderful. But I was like, I had to sit Shiva for my son, which was just devastating against some other backdrop of some other things that are going on in my life. And so when Tom mentioned that maybe it would be good that this would be a good book, and that children or young adults found this book helpful. I read it, and I asked my son to read it. He hasn't yet, but I think he gets the point. So good. Tom, you can talk about what the book is. It's powerful.
It was in February of 2011. I was working on Plato's Lemonade Stand. I finished breakfast, and I saw a 3D movie around me in my kitchen. It was an old man and a young boy sitting in a desert someplace having this amazing conversation. And so I ran upstairs to my study and I started typing, and I got 10 pages. I put it on Huffington Post, and I got within minutes emails from all over the world saying, what is this? This is great. This is amazing. Is this part of a book? And I would write back to people, I don't know what it is. And the next day, 10 more pages came to me as a movie in my head. Pretty soon, an entire book. 1934. A group of people are crossing the desert in Egypt from a small village in the western part of the country to Cairo. And they're going presumably to sell goods at market. But there's this uncle, 70 years old, talking to his nephew who's just turned 13. They're on their first trip together. And he says, we got some time together. There's some stuff I've been wanting to talk to you about. And the boy says, well, what is it? And they start having this conversation. On page 5, a CEO in California called me one day, and he said, page 5 changed my life forever of your new book, The Oasis Within. I'm an angry, yelling, screaming guy in global negotiations, international real estate investment. And he said, after page 5 of your book, I'm never yelling again. I'm in the worst negotiation of my life. And because you've calmed me down and you've given me a new form of power, I'm getting the best results I've ever gotten in my life. Thank you very much. I said, hey, continue to read the book. I think there's more after page 5. But it's a story that changed my life, and it's a prologue to 7 big novels that have followed it. So all 8 books are out now, but it's an action. People said it's like Harry Potter meets Indiana Jones meets Aristotle. That's the kind of spin people have given me for it. So
I look forward to it.
Yeah. And interesting. I loved about it. There was a metaphor or a point you made, which I've made to several people, about being noble and humble.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I now look for that in people.
Yeah.
And
when
I write that to people, when I actually tell people that I've seen nobility and humility in their actions, they're like floored, and I explain it, and they're floored by that, that like just the identification of it and the recognition of it.
Awesome.
So that to me was one of the more powerful, like metaphors that was used, and it helps me go, it helps me personally, but it helps me with relationships that I want with people, because I look for that in people as well.
Well, Lynn was showing that today. Her nobility of purpose and her humility of saying, you got to involve other people. You can't do this by yourself. You can't be an expert in everything. Open yourself up to what you can learn from others. That was that balance that you rarely see in people's lives, and I think is a key to leadership excellence.
Yeah. That's another great.
It's also just pragmatic. I mean, it's like ridiculous to think that you can figure everything out, but I have so many founders, especially women, I find, that think like that they have to have all the answers. Like they don't want to ask for help.
Yeah.
They want to, feel like they are smart enough and can, have it all in control. And it's like, why?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And things go wrong when you don't have the counsel of wise people. Every wisdom tradition on earth says the same thing. Surround yourself with wise people. Don't think you can do it alone. And our cautionary tales, like Mary Shelley's book Frankenstein, are typically about people who did it alone and didn't have friends advising them, didn't have risk management in place, didn't have guidance, and so unleash monsters on the world they can't control it or in their lives.
I wanted to say,
I hadn't connected that.
Was that you, Bob?
Yeah, I was just thinking about Trump's comment, not to make it political, but you know me.
Well, you just did.
I can do it. Only I can fix it. Only
universal formula for a mess.
I actually think that's a good segue, because in Monica Lewinsky's article, she actually talks about the importance of, or asks the question, I think it's quite brilliant, why we don't have a mental health czar. And why the country doesn't have someone in charge of the, we have the physical health, we have the other F word, which is Fauci, but we don't have the equivalent for mental health. And it's clear that you need an enlightened leader in order to even consider that conversation. We certainly might have seen that during Barack Obama's 8 years. And I certainly think we will see that in a Biden-Harris presidency, but it's such an important question.
And look how many problems are rooted in that, like of gun violence, homelessness, so many other things, all come out of that.
Van Jones was the energy czar for Obama for the first 6 months before the energy industry annihilated him. And I think you're right. I think having those people out there that we need in those different areas is just so important. Can't do it alone. It's gotta, you gotta be a part of the team.
No, I think that's a relevant point. And I know, Lynn, I know you wanted to continue this thread, so I'll kind of lob it back to you as well, because I think it's an important one.
No, I just think the point she made is right on. Like, we're so focused on the other aspects of this whole pandemic, but yet nobody is talking about the mental health, and that could end up being our undoing, really.
Yeah, right.
And you think about the impact on our kids, and so I do, unfortunately, I like Monica Lewinsky. I've actually seen a few interviews with her, and she's quite articulate and knowledgeable, but like, she's Monica Lewinsky. Do you know what I mean? Like the fact that she wrote the article is sort of like, because you want somebody who people are going to take seriously and go, yeah, she's right. Let's, why aren't we talking about that and do something about it? And I it's just a shame because I think she is right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's part of the process of transformation for her. And she is a very smart woman, and she's a very strong woman, and we need more of those for sure. And us even talking about it, I think, is part of the transition from not taking her as seriously as she deserves, and moving that forward.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's funny that you spoke about Lynn, about her being the face for this powerful, idea. But yesterday I came across, I'm sure many of you saw it. I put it onto Facebook. The Lincoln Project put out a brilliant ad or piece of creative. I don't know what the word is anymore. It's really about how we talk to our daughters, or how specifically Trump has spoken to women. But the interesting twist is, for whatever reason, the thumbnail of that entire piece of video was Megyn Kelly. And just the wrong, unfortunately, out of context, the wrong image to be a thumbnail. And so I actually sent Scott Monty a text. I said, if you know anyone at the Lincoln Project, it might be, they might want to rethink about the thumbnail. But
it makes
it's also
a difference.
It does, unfortunately. But still, what a powerful piece. I mean, they should just take every last dollar that they have and just run that on the airwaves until they have no more money, and they'll keep getting money.
A few of your dollars, our dollars.
Yeah. I think I might show it on the show tomorrow because I'll talk to Faith and see if she's. I'm sure she will be. But it was just a very powerful idea. Anyway.
Yeah.
Just thought I would mention. Anyone else who would like to chime in, pipe in?
Well, I would just like to say that clearly Trump has talked about mental health more than Biden thus far, but we're not going to talk about politics today.
Yeah, because he's spoken about it because he's suffering from it. But anyway, that's fine. We won't talk about it. Mr. Rubin is our resident conservative. So, we allow him one conservative comment and then we mute him as well. So,
And I'd also like to add, after being in Japan, approximately 20 times in my career, everything that was said today about the Japanese and the Japanese person is so true. The Japanese people are just so wonderful and special. We need more education on the Japanese philosophy.
How long has that culture been around?
Yeah, I know.
Right. And here we are at a couple hundred years.
Yeah, right.
Saying we are the best. We're number one, right? It just cracks me up.
Yeah.
And you look at the Chinese empire, not that it's all good for sure, but thousands of years, right?
The wisdom in Asia. I just finished a book where I have 7 chapters on Confucius and 7 chapters on Lao Tzu, and it just amazes me. It's like they're your neighbors who live down the street, who know exactly what you need to hear to flourish in your own life now, and they wrote so long ago. That's the amazing thing, about this.
There's always that person that that comes before the rest of us even know what they're talking about, to blaze the trail, right?
Yeah, definitely.
You
never know who they're going to be.
Much better than I do.
Yeah, cool.
Very cool. Lynn, you must be so proud of Joseph for what he's doing here. And Joseph, you must be so proud of Lynn for what she's doing. You guys to be able to work together just must be a real treat, because you can count on each other for, creative stuff and perseverance and wisdom and all kinds of things.
Well, we definitely have different strengths and weaknesses. And I always say that's critical, because if you clone yourself, it's usually a bad idea. You don't want to find somebody who's just like you. That never goes well.
Yeah. This is almost kind of re-energizing me to, go and throttle some of these startups and technology companies and sellers. It's what you were saying, Leslie, that just are going out there and selling and have no, they just have, they're a house of cards because they don't have that, or maybe the different analogies, they don't have that foundation. One of the things that we've done is we create almost a manifesto for every one of our clients that has to be almost this badge, this, it has to be this credo that you read, that you live, that you recite before you go into battle. And it really just come down to this idea of, if you don't stand for anything, you'll fall for everything. One of the things that I was alluding to, Tom, you would love it, of course, because it's, Jungian, are these archetypes. And it's amazing how in this sea or this cacophony of, of sameness, especially with this whole tech landscape, it's just almost impossible to differentiate one company from another. And I suppose the same could be true for, for beauty and hair care brands when you don't have something that attracts you or draws you to it. So it definitely has helped to re-energize me that, in fact, I'll probably send Lynn a text going, there's one company that we need to send a text to say, and what is exactly happening with the ... I'll text you now.
Okay.
I'm probably one of the few people who actually got to see Joe and Lynn work together when you guys were at BidTelect. And we were both, all three of us were consulting for the same company at the same time. So I got to see them present, and the energy and synergy between the two was amazing. So I'm glad I had that opportunity to kind of catch the two of them working together.
Well, that was fun. We'd like to do it again. We'd like to be able to travel again, maybe not. Although Deborah Wall from GM said that she's kind of happy not traveling, and I'm happy not traveling, but I'm itching to do it again. But I have this weird little eccentricity, which is, for example, during Passover, I won't see a movie because I can't eat popcorn. Like for me, I cannot see a movie without popcorn. So the other thing is, I can't. You can't, because you can't eat the popcorn. It's one of the foods that are not allowed on Passover. We're also teaching each other about religion, but the other thing is travel. My sister just flew to see my mom in South Africa from London.
Nice.
And 11.5-hour flight with no food because there's no meal service. I'm like, I just refuse to fly if I can't eat. If I can't have my American Airlines warm nuts, I'm not flying. I don't care.
On that note.
Yeah, that's brutal.
Yeah.
Take food with you. Can't you take food with you?
I don't think you're meant to do anything.
Hey,
on those
can I
planes.
ask Lynn a question? Lynn, we talked about archetypes today. Could you just say something about how you plugged in with that idea and how you found it useful?
I had a planner at Arnold who worked for Margaret Marks, who was the person who wrote the book on translating archetypes into the marketing world.
Oh.
So she wrote a book, I think now maybe, I'm going to get it wrong, but maybe 15 years ago.
Really?
It's called The Hero and the Outlaw.
Oh, I don't know that book.
Yeah, so she took this
What?
Jungian principle that there are basically 12 human archetypes that we can all relate to, the lover, the jester, the everyman, the hero, etc. And that a lot of storylines, like the one that's the most well-known is Star Wars. You can literally plug each of those movies into the archetypes and see who's, there it is.
Joseph.
Oh, where's
Yeah,
it? Oh,
so anyway,
Can
so
you
you
copy
can,
the link into the chat for me?
I
buy that one.
can.
so I had a planner that worked for Margaret and was super knew this from, inside out. She helped her on the book.
Wow.
And she introduced the idea. And at the time I was working on Hershey.
Where's the chat?
Oh, Hershey. Okay.
Okay.
The
And
Zoom chat.
their business was not doing well.
Yeah.
We had just won the business at Arnold, and they have 20 active brands that they advertise. But the problem was they were looking at everything from a need state perspective. Well, when you look at everything from a need state perspective, it's candy. It's all in the same little quadrant because everything is it's either an indulgence or it's a, you know, yeah. So we introduced this idea of archetypes, and it completely unlocked their business. It took Reeses from Reeses had been declining for 10 years, double-digit decline every year, and it completely reversed it. We made them the ruler, the crown with the Reeses, everything. You know, we treated it like an oil painting, like just the whole thing. And they basically went from being a declining brand to $1 billion brand, like flipped their business around. And we did it for the beauty of it, when you do this, is Hershey's is an innocent, you know, Twizzlers is a jester. Like you can fit, they have different personalities. And once you own those, it really, so I can tell you that what I liked about Margaret's book is that she relates it back to business results. So it's not just like this fuzzy thing. It's like you can literally show how the brands that have really clear archetypes are 10 times more successful than the brands that don't. And it doesn't matter which archetype it is, by the way. It's not like it's saying that, you know, you want to be a hero or you want to, it's more just knowing who you are and having that clarity of purpose and self and being able to articulate it in everything you do.
That's awesome. I haven't heard it explained.
That's why I love it.
Yeah.
Because it just makes it like, and when you,
didn't Reese's then become the #1 brand for Mars? After that's an amazing story, because I just watched on History Channel the Food Innovators series, and they talked about the Mars family, and one of the last things they talked about was Reese's, and I think they said it was like became the largest.
It's the largest. It's the largest. It's $1 billion brand
for that one candy type, right?
Candy. It's crazy, but anyway.
You know what I love? You know what
Leslie,
I love
what was
about
that show?
Lynn,
the show is called the Food Innovators, or the Innovators of Food, or something like that. It's on the History Channel, and it's like a 6 or 8 hour show. I mean, there's a bunch of episodes, cover Mars, Hershey, Kellogg's. It's a brilliant show. I mean, not necessarily as correct. Maybe it didn't give all the detail that Lynn just told us, but it's a great show.
Okay, all right, Jan, you're going to bring us home, my friend.
Well, what I love about that, Lynn, I've loved this whole show, but it takes the data that you were talking about before, it gives it story form, and to use a word that maybe is used too frivolously, fun, it makes the process fun.
Yeah.
And in the end, it tells you a very basic thing, which is you need to own something. You need to own who you are, and then be that organizationally, not through marketing, not through yet another campaign. And I was just talking to some people about this the other day. I was at NYU. I was honored to be at NYU Stern. And I was talking to their Stern School MBA program students, and I was telling them that, it may sound heretical, but when you are at a point where you're looking for clients, or you're even looking for a job, it might behoove you being the interviewer or the CEO. Because if the CEO doesn't get it and they think they're just getting another marketing campaign, the expression, life is too short. And you learn this late in life. It would have been great working with you, Lynn, early on, because you knew it, I think. But if the CEO doesn't get it, go to another CEO who gets it. You're wasting your time.
That's
totally.
Great.
All right, my friends,
awesome.
we are approaching 30 minutes, but I will give you all just, to not be so rigid. If anyone wants to share anything, we will slowly but surely wind down. And I will say to Lynn, now that you've experienced the after show, you're welcome to come and join this motley crew anytime you want.
Sure. Okay.
We're here every day.
We need more women, so please join.
Yeah, for sure.
Leslie.
And I put the link. It's The Food That Built America was the name of the show.
Oh, thanks.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
Cool.
Joseph, I would like to throw one little bit in here. Today's show was obviously excellent. It was a joy to listen to it. Yesterday, when you had Deborah on, she made a comment from my question that, in fact, the new Hummer is going to be available to the American public in general. Today, the prices came out, and it started at $112,000 a piece.
Well, it is available.
It's available. It's like healthcare
lately.
Yeah.
Come on, Steve. It is available. You know, if I tell you what, if all of us on the Zoom after show chip in, we can all live in the Hummer. We can sleep in the Hummer. We can.
Wonderful idea. Great idea.
You have to remember that the first VCR that came out was like $1,200 or $1,500.
Yeah.
And it was available to anybody. Now you can go to Walmart or Target or someplace and maybe, I don't know, can you even buy VCR anymore?
It's the same with calculators.
But they're down to like 40.
Right.
Exactly.
Calculators for $2,000. Now you can buy them for $2, right?
I have to say, in yesterday's show, I'll give myself the final word today. But you know,
I'll mute myself.
I generally don't say things that I regret, you know, instantaneously on the show. And yesterday, I referred to an electric Hummer as a rhino in a tutu, and she did not like that analogy at all. But it you know, I mean, to me, I said a big powerful elephant rhino in this dainty little. But anyway, I'm not.
It was vivid. It was very.
I didn't regret that statement. I just said, you know,
Well,
a few times.
She was going to mention. She was going to give you a mention at the ANA until that.
Right.
Yeah, except she pre-recorded it 2 weeks before. But we should at the end of the week talk about the ANA for those of you that have been on. I think most of you on today got comps through. But yeah, it'd be interesting to